Welcome to Night Shadows. I'm Stuart Best, where the paranormal is normal, where that which you thought you knew, you didn't, and where the future can be known if you know exactly where to look. Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in for this flash update. There's a lot going on, and a lot of it seems to be pointing to August 4th. Caveat here is that we've been there before. We've seen these warnings, and nothing has occurred, but it's a heads-up type of thing. Remember, the blood red moon on the 27th, exactly 7 days later, is August 4th, and we do have some news concerning that. Hi, Larry. How are you doing?
Hey, Stuart. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we've got Augusto coming on tomorrow night, folks, and that ought to be kind of interesting. It always is when we have him on. Where do we want to start here? It seems, let's start with the United States before we get geared up over there in the Middle East and the Strait of Hormuz and Iran and the warnings that Netanyahu has given out. Have we heard any more about the Portland pro-Trump people coming out and being met, I guess, with Antifa and perhaps live ammunition and guns, obviously, to maybe kick off a hot war rather than just riots? Have you heard any more about that? I mean, there's warnings out there about this.
Well, there's a number of things, and of course we hope nothing happens. And one reason we're having this is there's been a lot of cyber attacks and computer and phone anomalies today, and we wanted to tell people and give them kind of a heads up on Saturday just in case something happens and we're not on a show Friday. At least they'll know August the 4th to watch and be cautious, because there are reports of possible false flag situation on the West Coast. And at the same time, we know all the bad guys are going to be there. They've already made plans. So we'll just have to watch and see where that goes.
Well, it sounds to me like they are deliberately, Antifa, of course, is, for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure most of you do, Antifa is a communist operation, and what we're dealing with here, as we have said before, and it seems very, very odd that, even Fox News won't call it what it is, but what we are dealing with is a communist insurgency, and this is a typical communist operation, create big division between the people and government, and then divide the people in half so that they fight one another. And that appears to be approximately, I guess one could say, is where we're at. If this thing goes hot, they're going to blame Trump. In fact, CNN, who's that guy that was, I don't know if he was booed, but he said he felt intimidated. He said he felt that this was no longer America. On and on he went. But what he's really doing is saying that Trump is causing all of this. And I guess this is the way they start, right?
Yeah, that was a CNN reporter that's always causing problems at the press briefings. And mainstream media pretty well has already laid the groundwork to bring in violence, cause violence, and literally lay it at the feet of Trump and impeach Trump for violence in the land. Reminds me of Jeremiah. You've got the rumors and then you have the violence.
Yeah, and we've got there's so much going on now, and the rhetoric is just horrible. And the next thing that happens, usually when you have that kind of rhetoric, is you do get involved in violence. And it wouldn't surprise me if on the 4th they have, gatherings in many, many cities, and they turn violent. These folks have got to move fairly rapidly if they're going to bring it, if they're going to bring their communist revolution to a head. Trump is gaining popularity all the time, and I don't think they have a lot of choice about anything but to get rid of him, either by impeachment, assassination, or whatever you want to call it. But it seems to me that the United States is headed to violent revolution, and that would fulfill, like Larry just said, the prophecies about Jeremiah. We've had ruler against ruler. It's gone to insane depths for this, but it's just continuing. Any more news on their attempt to impeach Trump? I know he says he's going to sit down maybe and talk with Mueller once again. I don't know why he would do that, but there's something going on we are not aware of. That's for sure. What do you think?
That's true. Yeah, there's the impeach Trump is in. It is being well pushed and moving forward, and this shows what kind of a dinosaur I am, Stuart. Law enforcement for years, and I look back now, and do you know, during the time I was law enforcement, we would have arrested and jailed anyone wearing masks in the streets, anyone wearing armor, body armor, and weapons in the streets. This Antifa and all of this Occupy, all this other stuff. These communist revolutionaries, they would have went to jail. But today, it's almost like the Democrats or Republicans and the deep state are allowing and fomenting this revolution.
Yeah, that's what bothers me about what is really going on. Nothing is being done to these people. In fact, the police basically are standing down. They did over there in Portland. They stood down even while ICE was being attacked, basically. And I doubt maybe that's why they're going to pick on Portland again to start something. And the police will stand down and not do anything to help them along. Anyway, that takes care of America. We're at a very, very critical time, folks. And this can go south very, very quickly. And Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to, before we leave America, I just wanted your comment on a new movie coming out called Mile 22 that's coming out August the 17th in all theaters in America, and it's a film of a higher loyalty. What's your comment on that? I sent you a trailer.
Yeah, I saw that, and you know what is interesting about that? It's basically a higher loyalty. That's kind of a comment that Obama and communists make. You need to have a higher loyalty, and this is what they do. And so be aware of it, folks. When you have mile 22, of course, is an 1111. And we've had a lot of people who've had visions about that number, 1111. In fact, August 3rd is really an 1111. 8 plus 3 is 11, and 2018 is an 11. Not that necessarily means anything, but the number itself is very, very interesting because it keeps showing up all the time. So we have to kind of just be on guard, and there's a reason why they're releasing that on the 17th. And the number 17 in the Bible means victory, and so that's probably a communist victory is what I would interpret that as. Moving over to the Iranian, because this is going to ignite. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard groups, they've got at least 100 ships or more in this exercise it's obviously an exercise to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, right? What's your latest?
Well, the latest on that is the U.S. and Israel is monitoring the situation. The Iranian guards have that naval buildup at Hormuz, and if you'll remember yesterday, I think it was, we reported that Netanyahu had already warned Iran that if they try to block the Strait of Hormuz, that Israel will be one of an armada that will be on the way to bring them down.
Yeah, and I think Trump even warned them. And the IDF, as I understand it, is now on full high alert. But that's not necessarily because of the Strait of Hormuz situation. There's a lot of other stuff going on. And have you got any update on that?
Well, the latest update, as you well know, the tension, you've got a lot in the Syrian coalition, that is facing the IDF on the Israeli side. And this tension with the Syrian border is just absolutely incredible. Matter of fact, there was some bombing done on the Syrian side of the Golan today, and some were killed. And so we're just watching that closely at the moment, but we're moving into a weekend where anything can begin to happen.
Yeah, this is, remember the blood red moon on the 27th. If it was a 7-day warning for Israel to get ready for war, then that the 3rd and the 4th would be the primary dates going in through to the weekend. And who knows what the Illuminati got in mind. They could collapse the economy. They can do a false flag. They can do almost anything they want here as well. So we await to see what it really is. And remember that 2018 is kind of the end of things as far as the 70th year of Israel being a state. And and with the new state law that they just passed, it's very, very ominous, because there are a lot of folks out there that don't want Israel brought up to speed. As Israel is a time clock for the Lord, and that time clock appears to be about 59 minutes and 55 seconds towards midnight. And if that's true, we're going to see some fireworks very, very quickly. Anything else you got, Larry?
Yeah, I was just going to mention, Stuart, it's interesting that Israel just passed that new Jewish state law, and they're finding now that some travel bureaus in the world are now listing Israel as a Jewish community. They're not even listing it as a state anymore. A Jewish community is, and I'm wondering if that is where the world expects this to go for a massive attack on Israel.
Yeah, I think, as I've said before, I really do believe subconsciously that people know that when Israel comes up, that the time of the end is here, and they know it subconsciously, not consciously. And remember what he said in Jeremiah, with you, Israel, I'm going to break in pieces basically the whole entire world civilization. And it appears very much like we're on the verge of it. Anything else you got? We're going to have a long show on Friday, or a longer show anyway. And don't forget, we have Augusto Perez with us, and that's going to be a really good show. What else you got?
Yeah, I was just going to mention getting reports from different people around the country that some are now bugging out and going to more protected locations towards this weekend. And, a lot of communication anomalies occurring. So, we're not trying to frighten anybody, but we're just telling people just kind of keep a heads up.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting that some of the people who really pay attention to what's going on have already kind of left, and they are going to their hidey holes wherever they may be. And anyway, it's kind of a hunker down, and hopefully, prayerfully, nothing does happen. But remember, the Lord has an agenda. He has a timetable, and when that timetable is up, the church will be closed down, and he will go back to Israel and take up his controversy with Israel. And all the signs in Israel point to that very, very thing, and that's about ready to happen. Anyway, thanks a lot, Larry, for coming on, and we'll see everybody on Friday night, hopefully, the Lord willing. And we still have communications. A lot of communications problems on 911. 3 states now yesterday had it. Problems. They're experimenting. Anyway, good night, folks, and take it easy. Heads up.